So in this video, we're going to talk about how you can create a web page or web server with your ESP8266. In here, you see that whenever we put a name in here and hit submit, it give us a result and it give us a name. So let me explain it very fast. We first create our Wi-Fi router with ESP8266. Next, we create our server and we handle it in separate functions, and we create web pages to show something like this, and whatever name we put in here and submitted will be shown in another web page. So without any further ado, let's begin. Hi, I'm Navid Ansari, and in this video we're going to talk about how we can use TCP packet or socket to create a web server like our Wi-Fi router or access point. You see that there is a web page here that we can configure our Wi-Fi router. If we go in with password admin and admin, you can see that there is a web page here. How we can do it in ESP8266? Let's see. Create our project here, create a new project, and in here you know from last videos that you should put it in C++, Arduino, ESP and create an empty Arduino project. Hit next, choose a location for that and choose a name, web server example. Let's get rid of all this comment. In this case, we don't want to be Wi-Fi router client. We want to be Wi-Fi router so everybody can connect to us and see our web page and config our ESP8266 for whatever reason that you have. First thing to include here is, let's just include ESP8266 Wi-Fi. You see that Wi-Fi won't come up. Just write its name, Wi-Fi.h. So the next thing that we want to include is, let's see, include, of course, at the first start it's ESP8266 web server. And you see there is an error again. We should compile it so the error will be gone. But before that, let's just include something else that we needed. So the next thing is HTTP client. Include ESP8266 HTTP client.h, and after you include everything, you should build your project so all the warning and error will be gone. So we just need these three libraries. First one is for creating a Wi-Fi router or connecting to a Wi-Fi router, but in this case you know that we need to be a Wi-Fi router. And second one, we want to create a web server, so we need this library as well. And the next library is HTTP client. We use that to create a web server that can respond to HTTP GET, HTTP POST, or whatever requests that come from client. Like any Wi-Fi and router, we need SSID and password, so everybody can select that SSID and put the password if they have it and connect to our Wi-Fi router. So we need two strings, one string for SSID that I want to call it test, and another string for password. Like before, you can configure any Wi-Fi router, its IP password, its gateway, and its subnet. So let's just create them to use on our Wi-Fi router. IP address, I want to call it local IP. So for the IP, I want to use this IP. So just remember that I use this, not dot. I use this for separating all of this because this is a class, okay? We need two other IP addresses for subnet and for gateway. So I copy and paste it. First one, I want to call it subnet, and another one, gateway. The gateway IP, I think it's better to be this because our gateway IP is the ESP itself. The ESP itself has a local IP of this, so you should choose gateway and local IP the same. But for subnet, we should choose something else, like any Wi-Fi router. If you go to your Wi-Fi router configuration, you see that subnet is this. That's it. That's all the IP that we want to set in our ESP8266 Wi-Fi router. Know that we have our Wi-Fi configs, Wi-Fi IP addresses configs, let's create our instance of the web server, esp8266 web server. That's it, and I want to call it server. And the you know that all the HTTP pages use 80 port for the web pages. Port 80 always used for web pages. So that's it for all the includes and variable that we need. First thing to do in setup always is serial.begin, so we can have some debugging tool. So first thing to do, we should set the mode of our Wi-Fi. We did talk about all the modes that Wi-Fi has, but we will see it again. Wi-Fi.mode Wi-Fi AP access point or Wi-Fi router, it's all the same. So again, like before, let's just go to Wi-Fi AP and see what other mode it has. Just hold Control and click on Wi-Fi AP. You know that there is 3 type of Wi-Fi modes. One for when we are client of the Wi-Fi router, and this one is for being the access point. We are the access point in this mode. And the third one is when you want to be a client to other router and you want to be Wi-Fi router as well. So both in one project. In this case, we want to just be an access point so everybody can connect to us if they have the password. Next thing that we should do is to set our SSID and password in our ESP8266 access point or Wi-Fi router, because we want to be Wi-Fi router, right? So we say Wi-Fi soft AP, and in here SSID that we provided here, and the password. Just by this line, we set the SSID and password of our ESP8266. Next, I want to set the configs of IP address, subnet, and gateway. We say soft AP config, and here you see it take 3 IP addresses. That first one is local IP. Let's just copy and paste our local IP here. The next one is gateway, so let's just copy and paste this one here. And the third one is subnet IP address, so add this here as well. And before doing anything else, let's put some delay here so ESP have time to create that access point. So I think delay of 100 milliseconds will be more than enough. And now we can just say server dot begin. The mistake that I did here, I could set getaway for these two, so it's not okay. So for the first one should be getaway, and second one should be subnet. I did a mistake here, so that's it. It will work now. So the first step to create our web page is to put a handle in our loop. So every time it gets everything that client are doing to our web page. So we should say server dot handle client in our loop. So it will handle all the thing that client do in our web page. The second thing, you know that when you put this IP in here and you are connected to our ESP8266 access point, you should get our web page. This is the main path. Okay, if you put in here, let's say config, it should go to path of config. But the first thing that we should do is just first page, just the IP. How we can do it? Let's just go here. We say server dot on. When they put just this, it means just the IP. Okay, if we want to handle the config route or config path, you should put it like this, but the main path is this. So the next argument that we should put in here is the function that handle everything for this path. So it's a main path, so we say on handle main path, whatever name you want to put in here, it's all right. So put semicolon at the end of it, and we should now create this function at the bottom. We don't want nothing in return, so I just copy and paste this unhandled main path in here, and we don't want anything in here as well. So that's it. We handle everything in this main path, in this function, when they are putting just the IP in their browser. So we can say serial dot print ln and say http request has received. Okay, it's just for debugging. And after that we can say server dot send. In the return of this request, send back the first argument is the code. You know, every HTTP request has a code in return. So in this Mozilla page, you can just go to HTTP response status code. You see all the codes. If you send back 200, it means okay, and I received your HTTP request, and this is the information that I want to give you. And you see, if you get 404, it's for not found. But in this case, we want to say that we receive your request, and the type of the next argument that we want to put in is the content type. If you go to Mozilla site again, and in here you see there is a lot of type that we can put in our content type, but the one that we need is text/HTML. If you want to find this page, just go to Google and search for HTTP content types, and in the third position you can find this Mozilla site that has content types and all the error code that we can send back. So the content type, and for return a string, I want to say just hello world. Of course, instead of this, we can just send back an HTML code, but I want to make it as simple as it can be and send back hello world. After this, I will show you how you can respond to forms, respond to buttons, respond to toggle buttons and everything. So that's it for now. We can just upload our project, but before that, I want to change this name to esp8266 my test, because there is another test in my Wi-Fi network. I don't want it to be the same name, so I name it esp8266 my test. And no, you know that how you can program esp8266 from last video and in this video as well. Just hold flash, hit this reset button and wait few seconds so it goes to flash mode. Now we can just build and upload to our ESP board. So now that everything is set up, we can just connect to our ESP8266 my test. Let's just connect to it, type its password. Yeah, it's okay. Next, yes. And now it is connected, but there is no internet. That's okay. Now we can go to this IP and see our hello world here. You know everything about how you can have a web page, but you should know some knowledge about HTML codes. So now that we have our hello world web page, let's just find out how we can create beautiful web pages. If you go to internet and search for W3 schools, you see HTML tutorial. I think it's the best way to learn HTML because it has tried yourself and it's easy and it's fast. So you can learn it this way. But for example, I want to head to forms, and in forms, let's just have some text box and have some button in our project and see how it works. Just click on try it yourself, and this is our code that we should put in our ESP instead of this hello world. Okay, because all the response HTML HTTP response is just a string. If you go in, let's just say Google and go to view page source, and you see it's just a string. It's a big string, and if we respond in this big string, this Google will pop up. But let's just use this form for ourselves. The problem here is that we can't just copy and paste all of this because it has this quote marks that won't work in our IDE. So we should just copy all of this, and if we want to change any of this, we can change them. Let's just, for this name, because I want to use this name to get the thing that we put in here. So I want to say it is a first name and this name is last name, because I don't want you to be confused between the name and ID. So just copy all of this and head to this HTML conversion. You see davidjowatz, I think, .com, YouTube esp8266 esp convert html.html. So this page, just escape any double quote. That's it. We just can paste all of those code that we get from here to this and convert it, and now we can just copy this and paste it in our project. Okay, that's it. And this string we can put it instead of this hello world. But one thing that you should remember before you do this, if you go here, you see the page that after this it will go, the action is action page.php. We don't want that. We just wanted the, let's say, just page of result, and we will create that result page in our ESP. So let's just copy and paste this again and put it in here, convert it, and copy and paste this in here, delete this and paste this, so it will go to the page that we want. So everything is fine. Let's just build and upload our project to our ESP. Like before, hold flash, hit reset, and wait for a few seconds, and it goes to flash mode. And now we can build and upload our project to our ESP board. So now that upload is complete, we can just connect to our ESP8266 my test to our ESP board access point. And now it is connected, and we can go to its IP, and this form will pop up. And when we hit submit, it will go to result, but there is nothing to show because we didn't create it. So let's just create it. It's easy. Just copy and paste this server.on, and in here, instead of just this, copy this result that we want to handle, and instead of this main, I want to say result. So we should create another function for handling this path. Okay, so I paste this, nothing for input, and that's it. And in here we can just show something else. Data has received. That's it. That's the easiest way to do it. But let's say we wanna, when they, let's go back, let's say they enter their first name, we wanna get that first name and last name. How we can do it? Let's just see. In here we can just say server.org. That's it. Server.org, and in here we say we want a first name, and you know it from before. We change this to first name, so it will get back, it will send us John or whatever we put in here. So for showing this, let's just put this in here, so it sends back its name instead of this, and we can comment this out. So whenever they put their name, the name will be shown on the result page. So let's just upload it again, hold flash, hit reset, and wait for a few seconds. It goes to flash mode, and now we can upload our project to our ESP board. Now that it's uploaded, we can just connect to it and see the result page. Now it's connected, and we can go to that IP, restart it, and in here, if we hit submit, it showed John. If we go back, refresh it, and say Navid, and submit, it will say Navid, and it is in result. So we will use all of this code to create a web page to configure our smart home design. It's all was basic stuff, but if you learn HTML, you will do a lot of cool stuff with that. I want to use all of this code in my smart home design or IoT design to configure all the board that I have, what its name, what its position, what's the how you can just turn on or turn off a lamp or an LED. It's easy. It's easy to do in this way. It's easiest way that is there. So please hit that like button if you like this video and subscribe for a lot more. Thank you for watching. Bye.